When I first started practicing privacy law, I think the approach of businesses was to do the least amount possible to meet whatever requirement existed. And that's true for a lot of businesses and a lot of legal regimes, I think. But happily, for those of us who are really concerned about privacy, we've seen an evolution. And it may be in part because of the recognition of the statistic that Chris just recited, that consumers will not do business with companies that don't respect their privacy, companies they don't trust. And so it's why you see in the United States a profession that didn't exist 20 years ago of chief privacy officer. You see an organization like the International Association of Privacy Professionals having geometric increases in their membership. It's why you see articles by Professors Bamberger and Mulligan from Berkeley about privacy on the ground in the United States being a real thing, and privacy being an issue that businesses are dealing with and are respecting. You know, I listened to the ambassador's remarks, and as she described the new GDPR and described its core elements, they came from the Fair Information Practice Principles, which were developed here in the United States and which have been part of the privacy fabric in the United States for decades. And so I'm not particularly surprised at the growing awareness on the part of consumers. I'm concerned about the concern that consumers have expressed, but I'm heartened by the fact that businesses generally and big businesses especially, the ones that hold a lot of consumer data, understand that they are the guardians and custodians of data and are doing really remarkable things to earn the trust that they have to have in order to do business.
Michael, what do you think is driving this change? I mean, is it all the bad things that people read about, the breaches, the hacks that are causing people to think more about their privacy in different ways, or is it something else?
I think it's a combination of things. I think it's partially that, right? I think, certainly if you've, and almost every American, I believe at this point, has had some data lost at some point. I think we've seen some, incredibly, in the last year, some even more significant breaches. I mean, there's a difference when your credit card is lost and when your health records are lost, right? And when you start seeing people's health records lost, I think you're digging into that incredibly personal data. I mean, there's nothing more personal than my health status, right? Or, my relationship with my doctor. And I think that does, send up some antenna for people. But I also think, it's just in general, the digital world has disrupted a lot of things, right? It's disrupted commerce, it's disrupted the way we communicate with people, but it's also disrupted the way our information gets shared, and I think people are just growing increasingly aware of that. I mean, I'm a little distressed by the numbers that show that, less than a third of people really understand how companies are using their information, and I think that's part of it too. Like, people don't know what's really going on, and I think when you have an unknown, that raises concern generally, right? If you don't know what's happening, I think people get concerned about that. So I think we do, and it just sort of, to me, raises this huge awareness gap. And that's why we have things like Data Privacy Day